Donald Trump's campaign canceling a scheduled news conference with 100 black pastors. Trump's campaign had said the religious leaders would endorse Trump. So what happened? Here to talk about this is national spokesperson for the Trump campaign and National Tea Party leader Katrina Pierson. Katrina, good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning, Allison. Okay,
so it turns out that these 100 black pastors were not planning to endorse Donald Trump. How did you guys get that one so wrong?
Well, the idea was the coalition of pastors were going to be meeting with Mr. Trump, and some of them are endorsing Mr. Trump. But because the press conference made such waves in the media as it would, a lot of the pastors were concerned then they might get backlash if they weren't one of the pastors that were endorsing at this time. So the campaign just decided, you know what, we want to have this meeting. All the pastors are going to come and meet with Mr. Trump. We'll just close it off to the media at this time.
It sounds, however, like some of the pastors were never planning to endorse Donald Trump, despite the backlash that you talk about. So let me read to you one of the bishops, a prominent bishop in Detroit. This is Corletta Vaughn. She put out a scathing statement on Facebook where she says Trump is an insult and embarrassment, but he represents the country we have become. Zero experience, flaunting a ticket of unbridled bigotry, sexism, racism, and everything that is wrong with America. She doesn't sound like she was ever going to endorse Donald Trump. So did you guys not talk to these folks beforehand?
No, like I said, some of them weren't going to be endorsing Donald Trump, but they were attending the coalition meeting, which is why they finally canceled the press conference, because there was all of the confusion that every single one of the pastors at this event was going to be endorsing, and that was not the case.
Right.
So that's why it's been closed off to the media.
But to be clear, the confusion came from your campaign's press release. It was the Trump campaign's press release that said that they would be endorsing them. We have a little clip of it. Mr. Trump will be joined by a coalition of 100 African-American evangelical pastors and religious leaders who will endorse the GOP frontrunner after a private meeting at Trump Tower. That's where the confusion came from.
Well, that is confusing that all of them will be endorsing. However, it's probably going to be more than 100 that are going to be at this meeting. It's a coalition meeting. Some of these pastors were not going to be endorsing to begin with. Now, if the campaign had said that some of them won't be endorsing, it was way too confusing, Allison. And the fact of the matter is, they are definitely going to be meeting with Mr. Trump, having this coalition discussing, and some of them are going to be endorsing Mr. Trump for president.
Is it possible, Katrina, that sometimes Mr. Trump and his campaign playing loose with the facts does end up biting you guys? I mean, that was not a fact in the press statement. And look, over the weekend, we've talked again about Mr. Trump saying that there were thousands of extremists celebrating as the Twin Towers fell. No one has been able to find any shred of evidence of that and that number. So will he?
Well, on that particular incident, yes, there have now been 3 archived newspapers that did talk about that there were Muslims in New Jersey City, and Patterson, to be specific, including a retired FBI agent that was there at the time, saying they had several calls come in with people saying they saw the exact same thing.
Yes.
Now, we understand that we don't have a ton of videos showing that, Allison. Hold on just one second. We don't have those videos because the iPhone didn't drop until 2007. So the media can't just base everything prior to that on the amount of the absentee cell phone video.
That's not why we don't have the videos. We don't have the videos because there weren't thousands of people. Several calls is completely different than thousands of people celebrating.
The FBI agent says pages and pages of calls, and several people from New Jersey have taken to the internet to say, I saw it too. So now we're saying, did it or did it not happen? And the answer is yes, it did happen. If we're talking about the magnitude, we're talking about the wrong thing.
Katrina, the magnitude is what makes this so shocking. If there were 1 or 2 people celebrating, well, obviously those are the outliers. There's always
1 or 2.
But there weren't thousands. No one, even the FBI official. Hold on one second.
He didn't probably sit there and count every single head that he saw on the television.
Mr.
But
Trump
it was rampant. It was in Jersey City. It was in Patterson.
There were not thousands and thousands. And in fact, even the FBI agent whom you cite says that they did get many calls, but let me read to you what he says. Most of the calls, he said, were deemed unimportant, and the agency, the FBI, did not see fit to initiate investigations. In other words, there may have been
just like
many
the individuals
calls
that were detained on that day for celebrating.
Okay, so Katrina, you're sticking with the story that there were thousands and thousands of people celebrating.
I'm sticking with the story that there were Muslims in Paterson and Jersey City celebrating. There's an individual that was on his construction site that said he watched it. There was a lady on her balcony that said she watched the tailgate party. So absolutely, we're sticking to that. But I don't know why the media is so intent on trying to suppress the radical Muslim activity in this country. Maybe we should talk about that.
Well, let's talk about the precision that's necessary for when you're president. You can't just say, how many ISIS members are there? There's 5. No, actually, there's 5,000. No, actually, there's 5 million. There are distinctions between numbers, and when you're president, you need
just
to
like
know
President
those.
Obama. Is it going to be 10,000 refugees? Is it going to be 65,000 refugees? Nobody knows. The problem here is Mr. Trump saw it on television. Several other people saw it and reported it. There is evidence and record of that happening. Whether or not he sat there and counted every last individual head, probably not. But it looked like a lot, just like it did to a lot of people in Jersey and in New York City, by the way.
Katrina Pierson, thank you. We appreciate getting your perspective this morning.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks for being on New Day.